Slippy-J Sunday coming at you. We have an interesting one here this week because it's fairly similar to a very, very popular model. This is a real steel. However, this is the Solis, Solis. Very different than Solace, if you're familiar with that particular word here. This is a G10 handle scales that we got going on here, with that weird, like 1/3, 2/3 walk and talk. Let's see. Let's go ahead and pull this guy out here. This is, of course, the Real Steel Luna, which is an amazingly popular knife and has now made about 8 billion variants of it. I think the only knife on the market now that has more variants is probably the QSP Penguin. But here we go. This is the one that I have, which is the Stormtrooper kind of a colorway variant. I think this was a Knife Center exclusive, but hey, there's a million of them out there. We have that same designer here that did that one as this one, as would definitely make sense. But there are some key differences. I do really appreciate that it has kept that really, really nice, crisp fuller. Makes it super easy for you to grab that as a long pull anywhere along the blade. Just works out super, super well. And the handle has changed quite a bit. The lanyard little slot there has come all the way up to the back here. And we have a little bit more of a hump coming up to the spine of the blade and all that sort of stuff. Plunge grind has changed on these guys. It's still just like the Luna here stops before the blade starts, but they could have brought it back a little bit, which I would have appreciated, but still, excuse me. It is what it is, and you're going to get a few sharpenings out of them. Both of these guys in particular that I have are in D2 steel. They have, of course, now made them in many different variants. Of course, the Luna here, well, at least the Luna has. They've also done it in, S35 VN, I think. N690, I think they did some in for the people who really, really wanted stainless rather than the semi-stainless of the D2. But of course, the Luna has also transcended a slip joint into both a back lock and a frame lock and hold just everything under the sun. And this is a little bit newer design. It is definitely sheepsfooty. If we clip that back quite a bit, then I would consider it to be a Wharncliffe. But as it is now, with the blade, it's designed to be easily used with the tip, but not necessarily for the pokey. In that particular case, I guess the Luna would be a better one, but still, don't try to stab anything, whether it's inanimate or not, with a slip joint. You're generally not going to have a good time. And if you absolutely have to, come down on it. Don't go into it, because that's just going to easily force that blade down. So I suppose there's that. But, it's not like anybody really wants to end up using a slip joint in any tactical situations. But there we go. We still have that same kind of finger groove cutout sort of thing that the Luna does here. The Luna does have some highly gemmed areas there that kind of give you a little bit of a key-off point if you're not looking at the knife to detect where that stops, so you know that that's where the blade ends up starting here. Not really the case here on the Solis, but it's not something that I particularly miss all that much. But hey, there you go. The blade stock on both of these guys, nice and thin. It's essentially the same going on there, I think. Actually, it looks like this guy might be just a little bit thicker. I will figure that out a little bit later here. And at least on this one in particular, we have some bronze-looking fittings for the pivot and the all that sort of stuff. Pocket clip is different. Not quite a wire clip, but functionally about the same there. Both this, or the Luna and the Solis, both have those clips mounted from the inside, which to me is a little annoying because these guys are slip joint knives. And what's nice about a slip joint is a lot of times you can throw them on down in your pocket. And if you do have something like this guy that we took a look at last week, this Viper Twin here, which is just a little bit larger, still designed to go inside the pocket. And then of course you can either use a little pocket pouch or the or whatever this little leather slip is or something like that if you wanted to do that. So if they did allow you to easily remove the pocket clip, I think that probably would be a little bit more suitable for me. They're not super crazy difficult to get to be able to do that, but you do need to essentially remove this top scale here. And then pull that off, and then be careful to keep the back spring engaged with the blade, and then you can easily take those screws out. Of course, the same is going to be said for this one. So it is able to be done, but still, maybe just a little bit more fiddly than something that wouldn't have them there. I suppose that does keep on this one in here, this kind of width, a little bit thinner than they would have to if they needed to accommodate screw heads or something like that. But for the most part, I mean, the hardware is still visible, so it's not hidden. So I don't really think it helps the aesthetics all that much. But, yeah, it is just kind of a small thing overall. Just more of a nitpick, not something that necessarily bothers me. Both of these guys, the pocket clips do not bother me on them, using them in the hand. The one on the Luna, it's a little bit thinner. Does disappear just a little bit more than this guy, but still doesn't bother me at all. Like I said, no problems there. This thing is interesting with the pivots here. Both sides are concave, so they dip in the middle there. And that can be kind of interesting, at least as far as where my index and thumb want to be if I'm so I can use that kind of as a key if I'm going to be using it at a pinch grip, which a lot of times I am anyway. So you definitely have that to go on. This is also, because it's a sheepsfoot blade, a little bit easier to use the tip. A lot of times, like I said, I end up using these for like peeling or starting to peel oranges and things like that. Something where the tip on this is just really, really out of reach for those particular tasks. Between the two, I really do like this Solis a little bit better. I do think that that blade shape is just a little bit more useful for standard everyday kind of things here, whereas this is technically a drop point, but very, very gradual, which means that tip is well above that center line of the pivot there. Makes it much more difficult to get down onto a surface or something like that. So, yeah, for a little bit more EDC tests, I do like this one quite a bit more. So far, this is the only variant I've seen of this thing, but I suppose it really depends. If it takes off in popularity anywhere near as much as Luna did, there'll probably be another 80,000 versions of it because apparently people like a whole bunch of variety on one single knife. But still, it's done really, really well. Very affordable as well. Like I said, it's just like the Luna. I think these standard models come in just under 40 unless they've recently raised their prices. I think I paid around 38 or something like that for this guy, which is a fantastic price for what you get there. Which is a nice slip joint with that awkward 1/3, 2/3 kind of walk and talk there. But at least it is Nice and definitive. I wouldn't mind having just a little bit stronger back spring tension. This one's maybe like a 5 or so. Just which is really easy to end up closing them with a single hand there. But compared to something like this Viper Twin that I would probably consider to be like a 7.5 or something like that, takes a lot more strength to actually break that to get it to the first notch position there, which unfortunately at that position can and will bite you. So there you go. It's a little bit lighter use, but of course, it's linerless G10 scales on the inside there with back spring on the back. But still, for a nice larger sheepsfoot kind of blade, works out all right. Let's do some measurements here since I haven't written them down. Let's go for the ounces. 1.8 to 1.81 ounces. Just over 51 grams, so super nice and light. Of course, the G10 on this is nice and peel ply, so quite grippy. But of course, where it's been machined, it's not that all sorts of grippy, so ends up working out to give you a lot of grip, but a lot of areas that are a little bit more comfortable and not that really rough transition. And because the pocket clip does have quite a bit of spring to it, it's not going to chew your pants up nearly as much as you might think it would. But alrighty, there we go with that. How about some other measurements here? I'm on inches, so let's start with the blade length. And we got basically 2.83 or 2.84, somewhere right in between there. So definitively under that 3-inch mark. So if you are in some of those restricted jurisdictions like the UK and stuff like that, then you can carry that guy relatively easily. Some other places, apparently like the Netherlands, are trying to pass laws, and a lot of the EU is kind of following suit, which is kind of scary. Of no matter what, if you have a knife, you have to have a justified reason for carrying it, as well as having, very, very small sort of things. So, unless you actually have a good reason to even carry, say, a freaking Swiss Army Classic, and I need something to peel my my apples with or whatever, is not a valid reason, then that can be against the law, and that's terrifying to me. That doesn't affect me here in the States at all, but still something that I definitely don't like to see, especially because, in general, in almost any kind of knife related incidents or whatever you want to end up calling those, are usually crimes of passion in the moment, and they are almost always going to be something like a kitchen knife, because that's right by and not premeditated or anything like that. A slip joint, unless you are really, really trained and all sorts of stuff, these things are going to hurt you more than anybody else if you try to stab them with it. So, yeah, that's a little ridiculous, but alrighty. Yeah, after a little bit of that depressing stuff, let's go ahead and get these guys out here. So there's Range Buster Jr. Of course, we had that Luna from earlier, which is the same kind of designer. Little tiny bit longer blade on that. That's interesting. And sure, why not? We got the Cold Steel Lucky one here. Super useful, incredibly lightweight knife. Sad that they don't make these anymore. But what are you gonna do? But yeah, there's the Real Steel Solis. An interesting knife. I do hope that it takes off and becomes as popular as the Luna, so that we can get some other different variants out there. Maybe don't need like 40 variants, but I would like a little bit more than just black and bronze. But, there we go. As always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe.